Okay, today's recipe is for sausages. My cameraman Carlo, he came to me and he said, Brian, I'd really like to see a video on sausages. And there's a lot of recipes. You can do jambalaya, you can do, just go on the internet and trust me, you'll be overwhelmed with the amount of recipes. But ours today is going to be sausages, peppers, and onions with potatoes. And I'm going to be doing it in a wok. I started this recipe by boiling my sausages first. I like to boil my sausages a little bit because I had them frozen originally. And to save on a little bit of time, I place them into cold water to let them defrost faster. Then I take that, I rinse them, then I put them on the stove and I boil them. And I don't boil them for long, maybe 15-20 minutes, so they're not completely cooked. And they won't dry out. Then I reserve them, which is I take them, I put them on a plate and let them cool down before I cut them up into the pieces. I'm going to show you after. But I keep the liquid that I boiled them in. What I do is I take another pot, I put a strainer, and I take a J-cloth, or something like a J-cloth. You put it in, or you can use cheesecloth. You put it in the strainer and you strain the liquid. You reserve your liquid, you use it. You're going to use it to cook your potatoes. It's going to give some flavor from that, which is now like a bouillon, to your potatoes. And it's just more flavor, and the more flavor you have in a meal, the better it tastes, right? So in a few seconds, I'm going to set up and show you all the ingredients, and I'll show you how to make this recipe. So here I have all my ingredients. The ingredients I'm going to be using in this recipe are, and I'll show them to you, is the sausages, the peppers, the potatoes, onions cut in sections. I have 2 cloves of garlic that are here, along with a little sauce that I use at the very end. Now I sliced them, the sausages, after they were boiled. They're not completely cooked, but you can see they're about a centimeter, maybe 2 centimeters in thickness. The peppers are roughly 2 fingers in width. So it's all bite-sized. The onions, same thing, you can see. And the potatoes I did in small cubes. And I'm going to boil the potatoes themselves in the reserved liquid I told you about earlier. This is what I cook my sausages in. So in a few seconds, we're going to get on with it. Now some of the spices that I use, I like adobo because it's salt, onion, garlic. It's a little bit it's a mix. Black pepper, paprika. Everything can go to your taste. You don't have to use certain specific spices in your food. If you like it hot, add a little cayenne. So in a second, we'll continue and I'll show you the cooking process. Because your sausages are already half cooked and the peppers and onions don't take very long to cook, I'm starting the potatoes now. We start them in the cold broth. Any root vegetable you put in a cold liquid to start, never in hot. It's just a cooking technique. I start the potatoes first and it only takes about 15 minutes because they're small cubes. I'll wait 10 minutes, I'll check my potato, I'll see how well done it is. If it's almost done, then we'll start on the sausages and the peppers and the onions. In a couple of seconds, we'll come back and we'll go on to the next step. Okay, so now my potatoes are ready. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat up my wok. And I want it to get hot. I put it on high to start and then I'll put it down to medium high. And what we're going to do is once it's hot, I add my oil. Then I'm going to add 2 cloves of crushed garlic. We're just going to let it get brown. Once it's brown, we're going to remove it because it'll help flavor the oil. And it adds depth to the recipe itself. So now, like I said, these potatoes are done. I'm going to do now is I'm going to take them. I'm going to strain the liquid. I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons of oil. I'm going to let it get hot. And once it gets hot, we add the garlic. And we're just going to let it saute in there a little bit. See, it's a nice little brown color. This is what we want. This way all the flavors come out, but we don't get any burnt flavor. So now I'm going to take this out, put it back on heat, and now I'm going to add my onions first. I'm going to give them a little saute first, and now I'm going to turn it down to medium heat. And now I'm going to add my peppers and sausages. I add a little bit of adobo, a little bit of black pepper and paprika. I like paprika. You don't have to. I mean, you can put whatever you want to cook. And for heat, some cayenne. Cayenne. Give it a mix. And this is a type of barbecue sauce that I have. It's about 2 tablespoons. It's going to add some depth to it. It'll add a little bit of sweetness with the spices. And I'm going to put it in before I put my potatoes, because those potatoes that I drained earlier, they're going to go in here too. It's all going to be mixed together. But the sauce you have to put in before you put the potatoes in. And you can see everything is getting a nice little sear on it. The onions, the peppers, and by cooking it like this, it brings out the natural sweetness of the peppers and onions. The sausages continue to cook because they were almost cooked, but not completely. To this, when I add the sauce, I'm going to add a little water. You can use some of the reserved potato water, which you also have cooked the sausages in, or you can just use ordinary tap water. And if you have boiling water, it's better. You can add different things. You can have some frozen veggies to this if you want to. Really, you don't have to use a potato. This is ready now for the glazing. Like I said, I'm going to add just a touch of water. Because I want it to glaze my food, my potatoes. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, we'll Saint-Pierre. This is it. Another thing I like to do sometimes is I add, at the very end, I'll throw in a handful of spinach. I happen to love spinach, and it gives it a little bit of that green color to it, but you don't have to do that. This is going to be served just as it is. That's it. I hope you enjoy it. Bon appétit.